we'll see. There's still a game obviously on Sunday versus Italy. I could almost see even that France go and win that game. Get a statement result away to Italy.
3 days later.
What I say? I mean, hey, I hate to be that guy, but I kind of called it. So France go and get an emphatic win at the San Siro 3-1 against Italy to get some revenge for their own 3-1 loss earlier at the Parc des Princes. And well, I mean, I called it. I said that in the video talking with Didier Deschamps, how I felt like, yeah, I definitely saw the possibility of a bounce back, comeback victory from the French, rallying and getting the result. But even with that said, I still think that overall, I'd say that the score flatters France a bit. I don't think it was a 3-1 game. If we look here, quickly at the statistics, Italy had more possession than France, had a higher XG than France, had more shots, even amount of big chances on both, same shots on target. And it's not like, I think 3-1 overall flatters the French. And for me, the biggest thing here is when you look at a breakdown of the expected goals, Italy's expected goals from open play, from open play was 0.55, whereas France's was 0.08. And France's biggest contribution to their XG was from set plays. So we were set piece merchants, basically, to put it. Every single one of our goals today came from a set piece. And before we go on and I digest the game a bit more, I just wanted to talk about that 𝙀𝙀𝙖𝙀𝙀 partnership was working absolute wonders here today. Rabiot getting a brace with two brilliant headers, especially that second one. That was a fantastic header, absolutely peach and sublime. So 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝙼𝙎𝙬, like we'd say in French. And 𝙀𝙀 involved in every single one of those goals. Honestly, I think for him, the unfortunate thing is that the free kick isn't going to count as him. It's going to count as an own goal. I don't know. For me personally, I think that's extremely harsh. Yes, I guess it does come off the bar and then hit him in the back and then goes in. So I guess technically it went off the keeper last, and that's what put it into the net. But come on, guys. Like, really, I think that for me, that's his goal. For me, that is his goal. I think it was a pretty balanced game. If we go and you look at the lineups quickly here, it was certainly a change from Didier Deschamps. Pretty much the same back line, except Theo Hernandez was replaced by 𝙀𝙀, who seemed to be absolutely at the peak of his powers here today. But the rest of the back line, if I'm not mistaken, was basically unchanged. And I thought the back line overall, I think, had a pretty good game. I don't think they suffered too many big opportunities. Maybe the goal that they conceded by Cambiaso. I think it was a bit perhaps sloppy defending, but you're going to concede chances. I'm not overly, disappointed with that. The issue with Didier Deschamps is never defensive. I think defensively always, pretty astute. It's mostly going forwards. And again, when you look at the midfield that we have, I think the good thing that he did this time is that at least this time we had a number 10 in Nkunku, which meant that we actually had somebody being able to link between the attack and the forwards. If we compare that, for example, to the previous game, we had Warren Zaire-Emery, Camavinga, and N'Golo Kanté. None of them is their expertise is in going and building out from the back necessarily, and being that the link from attack to defense. So having at least here in Nkunku to be sort of that role and having two strikers up front, I think bodes better. Overall, I don't think the front three was all that menacing. As you saw back, the XG from open play was really low. I thought overall Colomani, they held the ball up pretty well. It's just they just didn't create enough really opportunities of their own overall to really be menacing for Italy. And again, the midfield, I thought Manu Kone had an excellent game. Overall, I think he bossed that midfield. I think Guendouzi, unfortunately, I think he struggled a lot more. In fact, I was pretty surprised to see him in the starting 11. But I mean, the thing is, having Guendouzi there in the middle, I think is just emblematic again of Didier Deschamps being more so defensively minded. Of these, the three midfielders that you have, none of them are really known for being, offensive attacking threats and whatnot. So it's still, I would say, once again, a pretty defensive squad. And once again, this pretty defensive squad gets France the result that they need. And this is where I'm going with Didier Deschamps, that, like, obviously the result is good. And in the end, with that result, it does also mean that France come here and they top the table based on goal difference here, with Italy having 6 compared to Italy's 5. So I guess from the French perspective, you'll go and you'll say, well, everything's been achieved. You went out of 6 games, 4 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. Obviously, the draw against, Belgium, not great, but other than that, beat the teams that you were expected to beat, and, you got a result away from home to Italy. But again, looking at the games in actuality, you see that there's so much more that the French team really ought to be doing. And that's, once again, my biggest criticism in that. I think France, we've just got too much talent here. And you think of the fact that, Louis Hernandez wasn't there. It's just, we have so many good players. And I just don't think that this Didier Deschamps ball is really suited. 𝙀𝙊𝘾𝘼𝙎𝙾 came in, I think unfortunately, 6.5, I think is pretty generous to him. I think it's pretty poor. Didn't really do much. Didn't really get the ball, cause havoc as he normally ought to. But he came on, where did he come on? 70th minute. The game was already done. Not much in it. But yeah, once again, it's like, that's the thing with Didier Deschamps. And this is the reason why I don't think he'll ever really get sacked, because he's a good enough manager. I don't think France, I think what it would take for Didier Deschamps to get sacked is France would have to go on some 3-game losing streak. And realistically, that's not going to happen. They might lose 1, maybe 2 here or there, like it happened last year. I think they lost to, Germany? They lost to Germany twice and so on and so forth from the calendar year and whatnot. But in the end, they came back. They got results again. So I think his job is safe. I think all it's going to take for him to step down from the job. And I just don't see him really doing that. And that's the thing, is that there's just, you feel like Didier Deschamps, it's like if you tell me we're going to war with Didier Deschamps, I don't necessarily have an issue with it. Like, if he's going to be the manager of 2026, for all the things I said in the video a couple of days ago, Didier Deschamps is still Didier Deschamps, arguably the most successful French national team manager. Got us to 2 World Cup finals, a Euros, and a Euro semifinal, and won us the Nations League to boot. So he certainly has a pedigree to warrant, if he wants to stay, you sort of have to let him stay. And I almost feel like the issue, in which I think it's just time that we, you just change things up. But we'll have to wait and see. That probably, gives him more time. I'll be interested to see how things go on afterwards. I think Nkunku in the midfield here was actually pretty good and looked pretty lively. The only thing is, again, I don't think does he get into the actual squad? And the other thing now, with Didier Deschamps, I don't think we know what our best 11 is. Obviously, when fit and healthy, for all the struggles that he's going through, Mbappe is going to be on the left, most likely, or he's going to be in the starting 11 to a certain capacity. Most likely, I would assume Dembele is going to be on the right. And now it's going to be, who's going to be that third striker? Is it going to be 𝙂𝙗𝘾𝘼, who for the French national team actually does pretty well? Is he going to try something new? Is he perhaps going to have Nkunku in the pocket here, or have an 𝙂𝙖 in there? The thing is, that's the thing. France have the depth to go and to try these different things, so on and so forth. And it's just going to be curious and interesting to see how best to cope with that, and how to best utilize those assets to give the most performance squad to go and compete. But yeah, got the result that we wanted. I was expecting that we'd get a draw, and honestly, as I said earlier on in the video, I think the 3-1 scoreline here flatters France a bit, in that I think it actually played pretty well, and it's probably, as I said, the result's pretty harsh, but hey, that's football at times. The more interesting thing for me is here the Belgium-Israel game. In fact, Belgium, for all the things that aren't going well for France, we're not in Belgium's case. They're very lucky here that, ultimately for them, the game didn't really mean much. They're not going to get relegated, but they're also not going through. But yeah, congratulations to Israel for, getting a pretty historic victory against Belgium. But yeah, that is basically going to cut it. Nothing really much new to be learned here from France. France are still very, very good, but I'd say just underperforming based on the squad and the potential that their players have. And that's it. So I guess stay tuned to the next international window, which I believe is going to be in March. And yeah, until then, thank you guys for watching the video. Let me know. I'm trying this new style with, the monitor and the 2 different camera angles. Let me know if you guys enjoy it. And with that, I hope to see you guys soon. And remember, stay safe, stay kind, and stay blessed. Godspeed.